willing to apply what we've learned. For we know that it is more than just the listening, it's in the learning and in the application that allows us to evolve. And so we ask for the peace of Jesus to be with us, and may God bless us on our study tonight. So it is.
Thank you all for being here tonight. So tonight we are going to be talking about the Gospel according to Spiritism, Chapter 23. And the chapter is called Strange Morals. Also, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can just feel free to unmute yourself, or you can also save the questions to the end, but I will make sure to stop throughout the presentation to ask if you have any special questions. So strange morals, right? What does that mean? So in the scriptures from Jesus, there are certain words in some of the Jesus passages that if we take those words, if we just read the words and interpret them literally, it sounds weird. The sound doesn't match all the teachings, the other teachings that we had from Jesus. So if we get and we do a little literal interpretation, not only to the passages from Jesus, but from other readings, other things that we read throughout our life, that doesn't always translate, that doesn't always express perfectly the thought of either the person who said those words or the author of those words. So, very frequently, this is a message that not only we should apply to the Jesus teachings, but also, to other things that we are studying throughout our life. Very frequent, we must step away from the literal interpretation and search for the essence and the idea. Now talking a little bit more about Jesus. So Jesus is always, this figure of love and light for us. All his teachings, they were about, loving one another, being charitable, being good to our brothers and sisters, and, even to our enemies. So, and also another thing that is very important about Jesus is that not only he talked about what we should do, but he was also the greatest example of how we should behave. So this is very important for us to keep those things in mind, throughout this lesson tonight. Once we are reading the passages that are called the strange morals. And so when Kardec, when he was compiling the Gospel according to Spiritism, Kardec, we know about him. He was a professor. He studied, and he not only studied, but he organized, all the main information that we have about the Spiritism today. And Kardec, he brings us this idea of the reasoned faith. So for Kardec, it wasn't only like just reading things and believing in things. For him, all of your faith had also to make sense from facts in a logic perspective. So throughout this lesson that we are seeing tonight, we will also see that sometimes when Kardec was studying Jesus' teachings, he actually took the time to stop and sometimes even to ask, being a professor, to ask other people in the same place that he used to teach, people that would be specialists in Hebrew language, to really understand the meaning of those words, to be able to compile this chapter that we are going to be studying tonight. Because as we all know, the Gospel according to Spiritism comes from Allan Kardec. So the first, and this is how the lesson is organized. We are going to see these strange teachings, and then we are going to see what would be, the first reaction to that teaching, the literal interpretation, and then finally we are going to discuss, the true meaning. What was, the true meaning behind those words? So there are four main teachings that we are going to be discussing tonight. The first one is this one. It's from Luke. And it says, if anyone comes to me, but does not hate his father and mother, his wife and children, his brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. And so this is a very strange teaching because, Jesus was someone that always taught us to honor father and mother and also to love even our enemies. So, this sounds not right? The first feeling that we get is like hate, but why hate? And so in many Hebrew passages, the verb hate is used, but is used in the sense of not loving as much as others. So it's not useful, it's pointless to translate this verb as pure hate, as it's in the interpretation of hate that we have nowadays in our life. So, and this sounds weird because, as we said, Jesus' teachings would always be, to love and honor fathers and our parents, our father and mother. So, here when I say that Kardec really took the time to go and to talk to people who would study Hebrew, he did not only in this part. There are so many other examples that he was really trying to understand the language to be able to interpret what Jesus was trying to say. Other things that we also need to consider is that the gospel in all the texts that we have about Jesus' life, they were written after Jesus had passed. So it wasn't Jesus who wrote all of that by himself. So this could also, have some alter a little bit the meaning of some of these passages, but also, what in translating those texts to so many different languages, some of that has suffered some alteration. And every time that we encounter something that it doesn't sound right, we should always, taking in consideration first the example that Jesus provided us, the example of love and peace. And second, also try to understand the place where Jesus lived, that time, how was, how people used to live in that time, what were the habits of that time. So we could try to understand a little bit more, not only the situation, but try to understand, the context in the real meaning. So, but okay, in the end of the day, if we are supposed to interpret this not as hate, but as loving not as much. So what does that mean? What would be the true meaning of Jesus in this passage? So what he wanted us to understand from this, his invitation for us is to leave, and for the people in that time, is to leave the old beliefs and follow his new doctrine, even if this would go against the opinions of their families. The understanding, acceptance, and will of this experience and individual choice, nothing and no one should prevent this resolution, even though the family members might feel upset. Each one of us is responsible for our own spiritual development. So now let's try to understand, that time, 2,000 years ago. In that time, families had very strict beliefs and traditions. And for a family, having a member deviating from those traditions and those beliefs was considered a scandal, and very often could be also considered a reason for humiliation. A great example of this for those who have read the book Paul and Stephen, or maybe not read the book, but some of you might know the story of Saint Paul. When he was Paul of Tarsus, he used to be how do you call? It's not a priest. I lost the word right now. But he used to be part of the synagogues of, not Pharisees. He was
He was a doctor of the law.
yeah, let's put it like that, a doctor of the law. So he used to be very active member, of their religion, and speak on the synagogues. And then, if you have not read the book, I would extremely recommend you to do it. The book is beautiful and it's amazing. But then, he adapted Jesus' doctrine. He decided to follow Jesus. He decided not only to follow Jesus, but to go and to preach the word of Jesus. And what happened to him was exactly this. When I talked about the families being very strict and very attached to their traditions, what happened is that after following Jesus, when he came back home, when he tried, to go in to visit his best friend, when he tried to go and talk to his father, what he encountered was not like a very receptive family. They couldn't understand. They thought that he was crazy. They were questioning his mental sanity. But he didn't give up. He didn't give up. He decided that even though, if he hadn't the support of his family, that was the right thing for him to follow. So, this is the true meaning. And the second paragraph in this slide is actually very beautiful, this message, when it says that each one of us, we are responsible for our own spiritual development. So, even though we are, I'm sorry, even though we are part of a family, and in the previous weeks we have been studying so much about being part of families, and how we come, our family here on earth, our brothers and sisters here on earth, they help us in our spiritual growth. In the end of the day, we are by ourselves responsible for this spiritual progress that we are supposed to be doing. So this meaning, the invitation of this passage, is for us to leave our old beliefs. And even though if these new beliefs, they might upset not only our family, if they might upset our friends, people that are close to us, we shouldn't be discouraged about that. We should still persist in doing what is right. We should still persist in our beliefs and persist in pursuing our spiritual progress. Any questions about this one? I know it's a tricky one, but anyways, you guys can also feel free in the end of the lesson, we could discuss a little bit more. So anyway, so this was the first strange moral. The second strange moral is this one. It also talks about family. It says, whoever has left for my name his home or his brothers, his sisters or his father, his mother or his wife, or even his children or his land, this person shall receive a hundredfold and shall have eternal life as an inheritance. This is in Matthew. So this is interesting, right? To abandon father, mother, and children. So the first reaction, the literal interpretation of this would be that Jesus is telling us to reject our own family. But this is not correct, because this would be opposed to his teachings. So what is the true meaning of this? The purpose in these words from Jesus is to show that the interest of the future life must take precedence over our human interests. And, within this, is the idea of fulfillment of duty. So, while I was studying for this, I was finding some examples, some spirit centers in Brazil that were doing interpretations and talking about this. I could find examples of when, for instance, when we live with our parents and we leave our parents' house to get married, or people from the army who leave, and have to leave their families behind to go fulfill their duties. And then while I was studying this, it came to me this other example, that it's an example that, many of us who are here, who immigrated to the US, we also left our country. We left our families. My family is in Brazil. It's not easy for me to be here, to be in the US. But it's necessary. And so the idea of this fulfillment of duty, it's something that it's necessary not only for our moral, but also for our material progress. And when we say being away from family, this doesn't diminish, this doesn't mean that we are going to love less, that we are going to respect or care less, or not take care of our parents. That's why this example of what we that are not Americans, we who were not born in America, or even if you are American and you have your parents in different states, it doesn't mean that because you are away from your family that you don't love them, or that you are not going to take care of them if they need this care from you. And so let's explore a little bit more about this, the true meaning of this passage. So, we need to step away of considering things only for an earthly point of view. We talked about that because, the concepts of Spiritism, it makes us look higher and show us that the real ties of affection are not the ties of flesh, but the ties of spirit. And those ties do not break with separation, not even through the death of the physical body. So again, I think that this ties very perfectly to the lessons that we have been having in the previous weeks, when we were talking so much about spiritual family in our family here on earth. So again, just like I said in the previous slide, when we are talking about fulfillment of duty, when we are talking about being away from our family, it doesn't mean that we are caring less about them. So, okay, and then you're telling me that the message is this, that the message is fulfillment of duty. You were telling me that the message is that I should put the interests of spiritual life over the interests of earthly life. So what else is a practical application of this? So let's talk something very simple. Let's talk about us being here tonight. So us being here tonight, watching this this public meeting, it's an example of that. For the very own fact that we are all here gathered watching this public meeting talking about the gospel of Spiritism. This is an example of us putting our spiritual interests above the earthly interests. We could be with our families, having dinner. Not sure if this is too late for some of you. For me, this is like perfect time for dinner. But no, we made the choice of being here, of listening this good message. Also, so many of us, we are used on Saturdays afternoon from 4:30 to 7 p.m. every Saturday. We sit down and we study Spiritism as a group. We could be with our family in that time, but we make the choice of pursuing our interests of spiritual progress. So when we are talking about being away from the family. It doesn't always mean like the literal meaning of being away. It could also mean this. It could also mean, the time that we are taking to really dedicate to our spiritual progress. I hope that made sense for you all. Okay. So the next one, and this one is also from Luke. And he said unto another, follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go bury my father. And Jesus said unto him, let the dead bury their dead, and go thou and preach the kingdom of God. Interesting, right? So, I'm sorry. I think I repeated something. So, here. So the idea in here is not that Jesus is criticizing filial devotion. It's not to reproach the son that wanted to go and bury his father, because again, this would be the position of Jesus' teaching. So what is the true meaning behind this? The true meaning, what Jesus meant about, let the dead take care of the dead. It would be, don't worry about the body, but first think about the spirit. And when he said, go preach the kingdom of God, what he said was, what he meant was, go tell to all men that earth is not the true homeland, but it's the true homeland is the spiritual one. As only there true life is found. This is so beautiful, right? And again, the spiritual life is the true life of the spirit. We always discuss in here in the Spiritist Center how earthly life is just a passage, and in fact, there are some books, some Spiritist books, that even compare earthly life as almost like a prison, almost like a time of, a place that we go to repair, to correct for our mistakes. Also, another understanding, another meaning from this is that what is buried is just the body, is just the physical, the material body. And of course, the material body does deserve consideration. We want to make sure of that. We all understand this, that the material body does deserve consideration and respect from the family members, because this is an instrument of the spirit, while incarnate. We as spirits, we do need our material body, to be here living this experience. And also, one of the good teachings of Spiritism is how we should take care of our material body, because this is a gift that was given by God to us. So we could have this opportunity of being here, experiencing this incarnation. But it's important for us to understand that the love that we have by someone, by a family member, for one of our friends, this love, it's not dedicated to their physical body. If we are here, in this Spiritist meeting, if we believe in Spiritism, we also believe in the existence of the spirit, in the existence of the soul. So again, what Jesus wanted to say in this passage is that we should think about the spirit. Again, it doesn't mean that, we should take this literal interpretation and not take care of, the remainings of our parents or our family members. But, let's just think that in that time, 2,000 years ago, they didn't understand the concept of the existence of a soul. So, when Jesus would use such words, this is what he was trying to say. His words had lots and lots of meanings behind them. And so other teachings from this passage, again, as I said, the physical body, it could be considered for some like a chain that is tying the spirit here to earth. And some spiritist authors even say that the spirit, once we discarnate, the spirit is actually happy to free himself of this material body. And this passage, another very important thing about this passage is about the respect to the discarnated ones. That every time that we lose someone, that someone in our family discarnates and passes pass away, our respect is not shown to any material or flowers or anything that we could bring. The respect that we pay to our discarnated loved ones is done by our thoughts, by our feelings. Just Saturday, I believe we were discussing this. Was it Saturday? I think so. That we were discussing in our study about the importance of prayer, about how we should pray for those once people pass away, how we should pray and send light about the importance of doing this. So this is the way in which we should think about paying respect to our loved ones once they disconnect. Okay, and so now let's move to the next teaching. This is the fourth and final teaching. So it's a passage of Matthew and also a little bit of Luke, that it says, "Do not think I have come to bring peace to earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to bring division. I have come to cast fire upon the earth. And what do I desire except that this fire be lit?" So first interpretation, when we read sword, division, fire, we think, is Jesus preaching discord and violence? No, right? Because once again, this would be opposite to what he always taught us to, and not only what he taught, but again, his examples. So the meaning, what he meant with those words is that his doctrine, we should not expect or believe that his doctrine would be established peacefully. And he even said, "It will bring bloody fights, having my name as an excuse." So he brought this law of love. But this law of love was brought in a time in which the society and people were living in a very selfish way. This went against all the principles. And even nowadays, we have to be honest and we have to confess that, we also are selfish. And, it's a battle that we keep fighting. It's against our own selfishness. But, let's think that time. Let's think, when Jesus was here, that society in that time was praying that, people in different parts of society, they were worthy more than others, different gods, and, that law of eye for an eye. If you would do something to someone, that the same thing would be done to you. So when all of a sudden someone like Jesus shows up, saying that we are all brothers and sisters, that we should love one another, of course, that his words were disturbing, to those in power in that time. So, this is like one of the meanings. And we all know, we all have studied, all the issues that Christianity had to go through, the cruelty and the tests of, the arenas in Rome, the example of Saint Peter, who was also crucified just like Jesus. And so, Christianity had to go through a lot until it was established, right? And so this is one of the meanings that he was saying, that his ideas, because his ideas were so new, they would meet opposition. They would not establish without fighting. And this, it's not only true for, Jesus' words. So many, different things, so many different philosophers and even scientists, they had to go through a lot, because people usually, they fear anything that is new, and anything that people, I mean us as in general, we fear things that are new, and we fear things that we don't necessarily understand. But also, so this is one of the meanings, that it's a very clear meaning, that the doctrine wouldn't establish peacefully. But now let's also unpack, just like we did in the other teachings. What else? What other message is in here for us? So when he says, I have come to cast fire upon earth. So what fire does? Fire puts out the evil and make the purification faster. Just like farmers, they cast fire to fields to destroy the bad weed. So, when we think this in the sense of Spiritism, right? Jesus, he did say for us that when the field was prepared, I will send you the Consoler, the Spirit of Truth, which will restore all things. So, and this is Spiritism for us. The Spiritism came at some point, in the time, to bring us, to help Christ to fulfill this promise, and to bring us, the console and the consolation, I'm sorry, and to help us really, understand the true meanings of Jesus's teachings. So, okay, now we are talking more about Spiritism. Now let's try to understand what Spiritism wants to tell us. What is the Spiritist teaching behind these words about fire, sword, and battle? And this part that I'm going to talk about, I actually read, this was an interpretation that Emmanuel said. So he said that when Jesus uses the word sword, what he means, it's a symbol of inner knowledge through divine revelation. So we could use this sword to start our battle with improvement inside of ourselves. So this is the real battle that Jesus wants to tell us in here. It's the battle against ourselves. It's the battle to combat our bad tendencies, our mistakes. In the previous slide, I talked about being selfish, how people were selfish in that time, how the message of Jesus was so contrary to everything and to all the selfishness. But we are still, 2,000 years later, 2020 years later, we still have to fight all those things. And it's not an easy thing. And it doesn't mean because we are, I'm here telling you, talking to you about the subject tonight, it doesn't mean that, I have found the secret thing on how to combat all those things. In fact, what I find the most interesting thing is, like, I love coming and doing this public meetings in here, because every time that I am reading, every time I am studying to be here with you, is like, almost that slap on the face that it reminds me that I need to do better, that I need to keep, trying to improve myself, keep trying to combat the bad tendencies. We always joke in our studies on Saturday. Sometimes we joke about this, that it's never like a steep curve. It's always like ups and downs. In some points of your life, you feel that you are really doing better in being less selfish, and then something happens, and so it's a constant battle. It's a constant, habit that we have to look into our inside, and to try to improve. You see how in the end of this lesson, it's almost like everything is connected. We talked about in the beginning of this lesson about the improving, about how we as the spirits, we should improve. This is the main goal for us as spirits, is to progress. And so what is the main thing that we have to do to progress? Is to do this, is to to try to work in our inner reformation. So I would like to end tonight with this beautiful message that says, times will come when men will recognize where their real interests are in relation to this world and to the other, and things will be restored on earth according to the truth and principles taught by Christ. They will all find themselves under the same flag, charity. So, charity is always the answer. It's always the answer whenever we are talking about being less selfish, whenever we are talking about expressing love. Charity is always the answer. Is through charity that not only we will be less egoistic, that we will learn how to love, but while doing charity, all your problems, they seem so small. It gives you a different perspective, and charity really help us towards the good path. And would like to end this lesson tonight with an invitation for us. The holidays are around the corner. There are so many ways for us to engage in charity, especially in this time of the year. So, I would like to leave you all with this invitation. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you, or even if it is not a question, if it is just a comment, I'm happy to talk to you all. I don't have it right now, but once the meeting is over, I'm gonna put for her on Facebook. I'm gonna tag her on Facebook and answer over there. I have saved in my computer. I believe it is Emmanuel said this in the book The Consoler, but again, I'm gonna go back and check. Mm-hmm. on. Mhm. It's a kind of a prophecy, and we can think about it, right? Nowadays, it's so easy for us to follow Jesus. Uh, certain things doesn't happen anymore. So, and sometimes, even though it's easy and we can follow Jesus, we can read his word from inside of our homes, even though it's so easy, we don't always make time. So, it's also, it gives you this perspective of like, so many in the past, they have fought and they have died, to establish Christianity. And so what are we doing nowadays? Are we making use of all the fights that those in the past have fought for us? Mhm. It's a good point. It's a wonderful point. Thank you for bringing that up. Rafael, it's important to say that for this semester, last Saturday, we ended the courses. So we are starting again in January 23rd. So if it's Kristen, right? So Kristen, if you are interested on understanding more about the courses or anything, you can feel free to just DM us and we can send you more information about the courses when they are starting again and all of that.
Can I add something, Rafael? Kristen, thank you for your questions. And also another service that the Light of the Soul offers is spiritual treatment. So if there is something that you would like to receive some spiritual assistance for, you can also send us a message, and one of us will contact you to find out more information and let you know more about those that spiritual treatment service. That is a free treatment that is offered by the Light of the Soul as well.
Andy.
Yeah.
So something that you mentioned, and it was one thing that I wanted to say in our Saturday's studies is regarding praying for those who already passed. And I think right now, with having all of those passages, being away from family, sometimes they spend so many days in hospitals and they kind of don't even know they're sedated or whatever, so they don't know that it has ended their lives. So I think right now especially it's a great time for all of us just to take a little bit of time and do that charity towards our friends who are not here anymore, praying that they can find light and they can find help.
Thank you for bringing that up, Paula. The importance of prayer is not only to those who have discarnated, but also, we all understand the importance of praying for our family, of praying for gratitude. If we have anyone in the family who is sick, prayer is also a good way of helping, a good way of sending light to those. So thank you for bringing that up.
Is the charity, right?
Yeah, it's charity. Yeah. All right. So as we prepare to start the virtual passes, I would like to invite you guys to just grab either a bottle or a glass of water. Since we are going to start the virtual pass treatment in just a couple of minutes.
So as we prepare for the pass, let's take a moment and collect ourselves, taking a breath and feeling into this beautiful energy of the gospel lesson that we have learned. And we just take a breath and allow ourselves to relax. Sitting comfortably, we open our hearts, asking Jesus to be with us in this moment and feeling the loving presence of Jesus here with us. We see him in front of us in this moment with his arms open wide. And we offer him all of the worries and concerns that we have been carrying throughout the last few days. Anything that has been bothering us, anything that is hurting us, anything that we're worried about, we gently place these concerns into his loving hands and we allow ourselves to relax. And we open ourselves up for the possibility of a shift inside of us, being able to love more. And so in the space of opening, we imagine now a beautiful crystalline waterfall of sparkling clean water washing over us. We feel this sparkling clean water penetrating into our crown and washing us inside and out. We feel this clean water cleaning all of our thoughts, washing our mental field, washing away any feelings and sensations that are not ours. We feel this water washing all of our centers of force, cleaning our emotional field. This beautiful water that comes from a divine source, beautifully cleaning us inside and out. And we feel this water penetrating all the way to the center of our soul, cleaning our peri-spirit, cleaning away any residue, any memories, any concerns that we have not been willing to let go of. We find that willingness now and let this water wash it away, this beautiful spiritual bath that cleans us inside and out. And we allow this water to wash our homes, washing all of our family members, cleaning all the energies from our homes. And we feel so grateful as we open ourselves to this cleansing that purifies us on so many levels. And we give thanks. We give thanks for this opportunity to receive this cleansing, this spiritual cleansing from the good spirits that are here with us. And we notice what it feels like to be spiritually clean in this moment. And so we give thanks. And in this space of gratitude, we open ourselves for the possibility of being replenished by an infinite light of love. And we visualize now, we feel the presence of Jesus' hands above us, filling us with so much light. This bright, intense light that is bright as the sun that shines outside. We feel this light penetrating into our crown and illuminating all of our thoughts. This light that beams into us, this warm, divine light, penetrating into our hearts and involving our hearts with infinite love. We allow this light to penetrate deeply into our body now, involving every cell, every tissue, every organ. And we use our consciousness to send this light where our body needs it the most, where our consciousness needs it the most. We send this light there now. And we allow ourselves to feel replenished, this light that brings balance and harmony and stability, bringing equilibrium and bringing so much peace. And we now feel this light expand into our homes, bathing every space where we live, all of the rooms in our home, filled with this light of infinite love, the illuminating love of Jesus, filling our home, involving all the places in our home, all of our loved ones, our pets, all the people we live with now involved in this beautiful light. We send this light to our places of work and to the places of work of our family members and loved ones, seeing all the places we spend time, filled with the living, loving presence of Jesus, cleaning these environments and bringing so much love. And we also, in gratitude for having received this blessing, we use this time to send light to all of the hospitals and medical workers, the doctors, the nurses, and all the hospitals that are treating all of those brothers and sisters that are suffering from this pandemic. And all of the workers in those hospitals, the cleaners and the parking lot attendants, everyone who works in these spaces that are putting in so much love to help our planet heal from this pandemic. And all those brothers and sisters that discarnated without preparation, we send them love, asking for the hands of Jesus to be with each one. And we just take one more moment to send light around our entire planet, seeing the hands of Jesus and all his emissaries involving this beautiful planet in infinite love and light. And in this space, we give thanks. And so as we close out our evening in prayer, let's really open our hearts in sincere gratitude for the blessings that we've received tonight, for the lessons on understanding what it really means to love, for the lessons on understanding what it really means to practice charity, and to love giving more than we love selfishness, especially during this time of the year. Let us find the space within us to be willing to give love, to really learn to love. We open ourselves to this possibility. And so we give thanks. And in the space of gratitude, we ask for the peace of Jesus to be with each and every one of us. And may God bless us all. So it is.
Thank you all for being here. See you all next Tuesday.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. It was amazing.
Yes, a wonderful lecture, Andriata. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Super lecture.
Thank you very much, ladies. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the lecture. Thank you.
Everyone.
companheiros, amigos, irmãos que vivem alegres pensando no bem.
Thank you so much for praying. I know
que vibra y contagia desde niño al viejo. Even facing danger, we'll hold our hands like a good Christian. Like a good friend.
De la paz y armonía, amor, alegría.